Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flix Show. My name is Chris Wong. Just a few updates today in terms of DC, but I do have a big kind of, I guess you can call it an editorial in terms of Zack Snyder's Justice League and how much of his original script was actually shot. It's something I've been thinking about today, and I can't get it out of my head, and maybe you, as the viewer, can help me figure it out and comment in the comments below. But we're going to talk about Ben Affleck returning as Batman, and Ray Fisher suggesting that news that he's coming back as a Batman for Flash could have been a distraction. Also, Joel Kinnaman says that Suicide Squad is really funny. So before we get into that, of course, I have to thank my members of the Ping Pong Flix Show, including my newest member of the Ping Pong Flix Show. Thank you so much to Brent T. Wilson for joining as a part of the family, and also the rest of the Ping Pong Flix Show members. Thank you so much for clicking that join button. I hope you enjoy the exclusive access videos, and thank you just so much for supporting my channel. And of course, the rest of the subscribers, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel and supporting my channel as we go through this DC adventure together. All right, so the first topic of the day, of course, is the Suicide Squad script made Joel Kinnaman laugh. Yeah. So this really shouldn't be too much of a surprise for a lot of you, because this movie is being made by James Gunn, who inserts a lot of comedic things into his film. But I figure this article did come out by Comic Book Resources and highlighted here from Fandom, but this is the actual interview. So they asked him, on the other hand, you're reprising your role as Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad. Was it rewarding to come back for that? So that I was very, very happy to come back to, because it was such a treat and such an incredible experience to work with James Gunn and his vision for the Suicide Squad. It was so good. And when I got the script sent to me, it's so funny. Like, every page made me laugh. I was sitting at home reading it, laughing out loud. You know, we had a great time shooting the first one, but this was something really special. And I've never done a comedy before, and this felt like my first comedy. And I think in the first Suicide Squad, I'm not disappointed with my work in there, but I never played around with it. I felt like I had these parameters that confined me in a way, so it was a great feeling for me to do the second one, because James just opened up the possibilities for the character, and it became much more comedic. And he really taught me how to find the comedy and where the opportunities for that was. And so it was a great learning experience. It was really fun. And both me and James, I think we had a great time working with each other on it. I can't wait for people to see that film. I think it's going to be so good. And everything I've heard, the studio's over the moon about the film. And Warner Brothers basically has very few notes, like almost no notes on the director's cut, which is unheard of on a big movie. All right, let's talk about the little part there. Warner Brothers has very few notes. What that usually means is that when the film is brought together, they screen it to the Warner Brothers execs. They write notes, says change this or change that. So those were what notes are. And in this case, they don't have much notes, meaning they're keeping pretty much, director James Gunn's vision for this movie. Now, the other part that will probably scratch your head is that we're going to laugh. Like every page, right? Every page is script. Now, this is something I'm going to be talking about later on with Zack Snyder's Justice League in terms of scripts. A page usually means 1 minute of runtime, right? So if it's a 200-page script, that's usually 200 minutes, or around there. A little bit. You can play around with the numbers a little bit, but it's around there. So he's laughing at every page. This is a comedy. I wonder how funny is this. Slapstick funny, sarcastic funny. I mean, there are a lot of funny moments in like Slither or Super, before James Gunn's Guardian of the Galaxy, which I think is not entirely James Gunn. I mean, it's James Gunn-ish, but it needs some of that rated R aspects, which are definitely going to be in the Suicide Squad. But I don't remember laughing every minute in like Slytherins. There are a lot of funny moments. Don't get me wrong, but especially when it comes to Super in terms of a superhero, superhero movie. It was they weren't really superheroes. It's more, it was more grounded for that matter. But it was violent, and there were a lot of moments that were very, it could be heartfelt and scary at the same time. And it was very serious, especially towards the end. But like, this is going to be a comedic, and it seems like, at least to this article, that Rick Flag enjoyed working on this Suicide Squad rather than the last Suicide Squad. It was more open for him to do. Now, I don't know if that means he was complaining about the reshoots where he had to come back and do some things, or not. That's remains to be seen. But according to this, he's really happy with his work. And of course, every actor and actress is going to say that because they have to promote the movie. We'll have to come find out, when this movie gets released to see how good this movie is, how we react to it, and if it's truly funny for like every. And he could be just saying every page, but it's not every page. So that wouldn't mean every minute. But indeed, it does seems like more of a comedy than an action film and things like that. But I guess that's what we can expect from James Gunn, right? So that is the Suicide Squad. Joel Kinnaman comment on the Suicide Squad. Next up is a new update about the Ray Fisher situation. Ray Fisher tweeted out today. He said this, he suggests Ben returning as Batman news was also a distraction. May have remembered that Ben Affleck will return as Batman in The Flash around August 20th of 2020. So he tweeted this out, and he said this. Unfortunately, the fake Frosty news with Jason wasn't the only PR tactic used to distract from the seriousness of the Justice League situation. Ben returning as Batman was clearly meant to be revealed at DC Fandom. I'll give you one guess as to why Warner Brother Pictures likely jumped the gun. And he posted these two pictures here. The one from his tweet on August 20th, August 2020. This is after 5 weeks of interviews with various cast and crew. Warner Media has officially launched an independent third-party investigation. That tweet right there, that was on, August 2020, right? And I kind of covered this the other day, but literally maybe about like 90 minutes later, Ben Affleck will return as Batman the Flash in the Vanity Fair article, which was really put together. It wasn't like slapped on like how the Frosty Snowman was. So that means that's probably true, that this was supposed to release out at some fashion. Now, I don't know how that would have worked at DC Fandom. I don't think it would have been a panel at DC Fandom, as those were all pre-recorded and everything, and this was all written up, and we didn't even get to hear this interview or even see Ben Affleck talking about this, or Barbara, or Muschietti talked about this. So they didn't film it, right? So this was literally actually, like they said, done probably like a week. They've already just put it together, but they decided to release it early that day before when they could have released it at DC Fandom. But then again, will there be time to release it at DC Fandom? Because we're going to be watching DC Fandom, and would that be a distraction itself to release the article at that time? But this is Warner Brothers, so it does, it makes me wonder if that really was the case, and that is interesting in itself. Did Ben Affleck actually say, yeah, you can talk about this now? I wonder what his thoughts on this. Maybe he didn't want this to be released at this moment. Maybe this was supposed to be released later. Maybe after DC Fandom even, right? because it's a well put together article, has quotes and everything, and it was like established. It's nothing they can throw out right in 90 minutes. So it does scream like they did release this early, like how Ray Fisher suggests. And it may possibly been a distraction from the seriousness of the Justice League situation. It is very, very coincidental indeed. And I'm thinking that with this, there could be reason maybe that Ben Affleck will also come out as well. And I don't think he would. I didn't think he would go release the Snyder cut either, so don't get me wrong. But this is Ben Affleck. He seems like the type of guy who would work on this in the background. Like, you don't hear about him working on anything. Like, he's not outspoken about these issues within the industry, unlike, say, like Ray Fisher or even Jason Momoa, right? He seems to be very much in behind the scenes, as we've heard during the Justice League reshoots, that he told everyone to walk, right? Let's walk. He was telling Zack Snyder, let's fight them, and things like that. Things that we haven't really heard during the, even now, we haven't really heard. I mean, we've heard about his grievances about over Justice League, that maybe one day, I don't know, maybe in the, pretty soon, maybe, that he would call out Warner Brothers. Like, it would have to be something major. Like, he would need to be, want to call out Warner Brothers at this point. And I think it will be a big bomb, and I think it will probably end it. It will probably put things into motion, just like the release of Snyder Cut campaign in November. Him coming out and saying, #release of Snyder Cut, really burst the doors open. It was huge. So this could be the same issue, maybe. This could be the same thing, but we'll have to wait and find out about that. All right. Since we're talking about Ben Affleck and Batman, and I've hear you guys asking me to talk about this for a while now, is Ben Affleck returning as Batman beyond the Flash? Now, we had this article. There's several articles that came out, including the recent one, DCEU Direct. I think the Culture Nerd also put out one. Several other outlets have put out the same thing, that Ben Affleck is being in contact to return as Batman, right? And I think there are a few that said that it was already signed or things like that. But it's confirmed that Ben Affleck is coming back for the Flash movie. But is there anything beyond that? That is a great question. I don't really have an answer for you in terms of that, right? And in reference, this is one of the latest article that came out about that rumor, right? That there was that they've contacted him, and as of yet, he has not said yes, and they want to wait until the Snyder Cut comes out first, right? And I'm also privy to some information about this too, so that's why I'm kind of hesitant. But essentially, nothing is signed beyond the Flash yet, is what I'm hearing. Like I said, that's what I'm hearing. I don't actually have direct sources. I just know people, and it may not. And I really hope he comes back on HBO Max and gets to make the movie he wants to make. But of course, that's going to be up to him right now. And then they're also coming out with other people are saying, like Grace Randolph and Brandon Davis. They're talking about comicbook.com. We're talking about that the reason why he signed up for the Flash, because this is his going away. This is his goodbye movie, right? His way out of the Warner Brothers cinematic universe, the Warner Brothers canon, right? Which actually makes sense, and that actually makes me a little bit happy. Right? Because if he is going to be in the Flash movie, and it's still run by Warner Brothers. And if the rest of the Justice League team are having issues on fighting Warner Brothers over the reshoots, over all the misconduct over there, right? Because Ray Fisher says there's a giant list and there's countless, and the cast and crew are behind him, backing him up. And I think Ben Affleck is one of those individuals that's truly backing him up. I think possibly he said yes to the Flash because it's an exit for him out of Warner Brothers' grasp of him as Batman. He could finish up that one contract he has of him to come out to play Batman one more time, and then it's over. He's done. Finesse, right? Finny? And so that would lead to possibly, and I'm just crossing my fingers, that means that he'd be open to coming back on HBO Max and either finishing that movie, because he's going to be in Zack Snyder's Justice League, and maybe even part 2 or 3. I don't know how long it's going to take, but also Batman as well. So finish what you got over at Warner Brothers. Finish up that contract that they made you sign, because you have one more project. I think you only had one more project, Batman, out of the way. Then come over to HBO Max and continue your saga if you want to, right? And he hasn't really displayed that he has wanted to, and that's why we kind of did the whole thanks Batflick thing a while back, because he was just kind of hemming hawing, and he needed a little bit more encouragement. But as of this time, he's not entirely encouraged about that so far, which gives credence to Grace Randolph and Brandon Davis, and I think a few amongst others, that the reason why he signed up for a Flash, because that was his essentially going away party from Warner Brothers, the cinematic universe of DC. But hopefully that opens up on HBO Max. So that's what my comments about Ben Affleck returning as Batman, and kind of what I've been hearing so far in any case. All right, let's get into, because we're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League pretty much. It's Ben Affleck. He's in Zack Snyder's Justice League. We're going to see him as Batman, Zack Snyder's Justice League, so don't worry about that. But I want to talk about this, because this has been really bugging me. Zack Snyder's Justice League original script. How much was shot? Now, this is probably going to be something that my colleagues don't agree with. That's fine. This is my own take, and I think that's fine as well. But I want to share with you that exclusive Zack Snyder interview, right? About Zack talking about his analogy of shooting the movie and with bullets. How much bullets did he shoot, right? So I'm going to play this for you. Of course, this was the time when Zack Snyder jumped into our Real in Motion DC fandom roundtable, and I was totally just that's pretty much my face throughout the entire interview. How embarrassing! But I want to play this for you and see what you think about this. We'll talk about this right in a moment, right?
I mean,
Senator,
can you talk about anything with Lex or Deathstroke or anything?
what's that?
Because we know he's in it. I said, can you talk about Lex or Deathstroke or anything about in the film? Or
I mean, listen, the truth is, yes, there's that Lex scene is in the movie, and it's much different than apparently what was in the theatrical version.
Nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also has its own
Shocker.
very particular. It has a very particular purpose in the movie,
Yeah.
Which, because I think the one thing that everyone has to keep in mind is when I made the movie, the design of the movie was literally, I just thought that we would do this movie and I'd be setting up a bunch of stuff for what would come after it, right?
Mm.
And it is what it is. I'm not like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like expecting to. I don't know what's gonna happen, but my expectations are not. They're like, oh, Warner Bros. Is gonna ask me to make another movie, right? So I don't. I would.
No, we'll do that.
It's like any
We'll do that, Bart.
It'd be Warner Media.
That another film that you're going to make a sequel, right? It's like we always talk about like the Uptown problem of like you shoot all your bullets, you know, and don't save any bullets. That's like the big thing. I always like advice I would give to like a filmmaker or anybody who's doing some kind of you know, like where they think, oh, maybe I'll make a sequel. So let's not put this really cool idea in the movie because I'll save it for later. It's like never do that.
Yeah.
Shoot all your bullets. The Uptown problem is like trying to make more bullets. That's a better problem to have than like, oh, no one will ever see this cool idea I had. That problem of oh shit. No one's ever gonna. No one ever saw it. So okay,
Yeah.
But so I think that, but the Lex Luthor sort of arc, or because there is a whole Lex Luthor concept I had that would unfold over a longer narrative trajectory. That's a thing that I don't know. We'll see.
So you, and in the same vein, you're saying that everything, all your bullets that you had, that you wanted to shoot.
Well, no.
There you go.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of the bullets got shot, but not
all the bullets. Okay.
Okay, so that is a sense that was interesting to me. Right. I was kind of interested about this when he talked about this. To quote, he says, well, a lot of bullets, when Ben Ever says, so in that same vein, you shot everything, all your bullets that you wanted to shoot for Justice League. Well, a lot of bullets got shot, but not all of them. Right. And I've kind of felt like I heard this before in terms of when he talked about shooting Justice League and what he shot. And not shooting the hard idea, right? Over when he was on that Vera Watch party that you could see at the Art Center, he sat there and he talked to all of us fans. We were all in the audience. It was amazing. But I want to share that little clip for you, because before I talk any further, because I want to give you a sense of where my head is at in terms of this mystery of how much this is of his original Justice League did he shoot.
To say is that, like, look, when this movie came out, understand that we had written, Chris Terry and I had finished the script for Justice League before this movie came out, right? So that script was done. Movie came out, and some people didn't like the movie. A vocal minority. And so I was asked by the studio to like say, hey, you can't, there's a lot of stuff we don't want you to do from that script. So we did a rewrite, right, of the script. So the original Justice League that Chris and I wrote, we didn't even shoot. I mean, there's a lot of it that we shot, but the actual idea, the hard idea, the scary idea, we never filmed because the studio was like, that's crazy. And we were so insecure at the time after this movie came out, we were just like, I guess it is crazy. Like, we're fucking nuts. Like, what are we, there's gonna be mass hysteria in the streets if we film this. Apparently. It's a long story.
Okay, if you want to hear more from that, I'll go ahead and put the link down below. And that's Neil's video there that I'll pretty much put in the description below, along with a Real Emotion Zack Snyder interview when he popped into our fandom roundtable. But okay, let's get back to that, right? So let's get back to that analogy, right? So the bullets, he didn't shoot it all. He shot a lot of it, just like he said, talked about the original script. They didn't get to shoot that. But then he clarified and he said, well, we shot a lot of it, but not the hard, scary idea, the hard idea. So I'm always wondering about that hard scary idea. Like, to me, I think it's just it could have been the entire, like, people are saying, well, scary idea must be talking about the parademons and stuff like that. I don't think so. I think that wouldn't cause mass hysteria in the streets. Like, literally right after he talks about that, he talks about Lois Lane dying. Like, Darkseid boom tubes into the Batcave and kills Lois Lane. And I think that would actually cause mass hysteria in the streets. I think that actually, just like our reaction during that, where people go, what? Right? It's that reaction is probably the scary idea that he's talking about. So essentially, if he shot a lot of it, what percentage did he shoot of the original script, right? And if you go into the Real Emotion article, he does say that he shot, there was a 400-page script, where they wanted him to cut it down to 2 hours, right? And for him, that's just impossible. It's so long, right? And like I said in the beginning of this show today, was that when you look up, and you can look this up, how many minutes does a 1 page of script actually translate to? And essentially they said it's about a minute. So a 400-page script would be 400 minutes, which essentially would translate to almost 6.5 hours, right? The script is over 400 pages long. In what world is that a 2-hour-long movie? Now, of course, they did rewrites, right? But let's say if he did rewrites and he just rewrote it to remove the hard, scary idea, which would essentially mean that it would just been Lois Lane dying. So what is Justice League? Is Justice League Part 1? Is it Part 2? I know back in years ago, it's kind of hard to go back, and I've been going back into the interviews and trying to figure out, well, what does that mean exactly? I think in one interview, Deborah Snyder was asked, is there a Justice League Part 1 and Part 2? And she said there's only one Justice League, just one movie, just one, right? And Zack Snyder had said the original script that him and Terrio wrote had all that dark side, anti-life, time travel, everything in it. He didn't say Justice League 1 script. He just said Justice League script. So here's my theory. That when we're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's essentially Zack Snyder's Justice League. I know he clarified that it should have been like a 5-part arc or something like that. But if it's a 400-page script, I'm just wondering if he actually meant that 400-page, or actually the original script, included 1, 2, and 3, or essentially just the entire Zack's Justice League arc, right? And the studio had to look at that 6.5 hours and said, let's split this up into 2 parts or 3 parts. He wanted 3 parts, but then they could, he shaved it down further, he took out the hard, scary idea, and then now it's 2 parts. So now it's 2 parts, right? So when he's talking about the script that he's utilizing now, is it the 400-page script, which he says it is, but is that 400-page script have with integrated original script? I don't know. But when I'm listening to that Real Emotion interview, and he says this, and he's talking about when he shot design, when he made Justice League at that time. When I made the movie, the design of Justice League, literally, I just thought that we would do this movie and I would be setting up a bunch of stuff for what would come after it, right? And it is what it is. I'm not like expecting to continue. I don't know what's going to happen, but my expectations are not like, oh, Warner Brothers is going to ask me to make another movie. Okay. So he said that that's his thoughts at that time, not now. He's talking about at that time. So if his thoughts at that time were saying that, I don't think they're going to let me make another movie. So which goes into the next part where he says that he always talks about that his suggestion for any filmmakers that you shoot all your bullets. Don't save any bullets. You shoot all your bullets. Don't save any bullets. That's what the advice I would give to a filmmaker or anyone doing some kind of film where they think maybe I'll make a sequel. So let's not put this cool idea in the movie because I'm going to save it for later. Never do that. Shoot all your bullets. The Uptown problem is trying to make more bullets. That's a better problem to have than no one ever seeing this cool idea I had. That problem of like, oh shit, I effed up because no one ever saw it. Okay? So think about that. If at that time you think back, and this is Zack Snyder's mindset, back at that time when he's filming Justice League, and with John Garza in that latest article that I'll put up, a video essay, and I'll show it right here, where he kind of talks about, and it's something we've heard before, but he reiterates it, and it's a pretty cool article with a video attached to it, that Zack Snyder shot one for the studio and one for himself, right? That's what he's suggesting. He shot twice. He shot a scene for the studio and a scene for himself, right? And he puts a lot of examples where this could be as a Zack shot, but it's probably not a Zack take, essentially, right? So now I want to go, I just want to go back to this. It's just interesting in how he said that at that time, at that moment, his mindset was literally that he would do this movie and he should be setting a bunch of stuff for what would come after it, right? But at that time, he wasn't expecting to continue. He was thinking Warner Brothers is not going to let me make another movie. So what do? Then you shoot everything. You shoot everything that you wanted to shoot. So here's my theory. Zack Snyder's Justice League isn't just Justice League Part 1. Zack Snyder's Justice League could be the entire arc, minus the hard, scary ideas, which would lead to additional photography. But then it confuses me because I don't think, wouldn't there be a season 2? Like, this is 4 hours. It's not exactly 6.5 hours, right? His assembly cut was 5 hours, though. So, if the movie's coming out, it's 4 hours out of a 400-page script. 400 pages equals 6.5 hours. Is a hard, scary idea 2.5 hours? Is that how that works? I don't really know. I mean, I really don't know how the math works on that. It could be longer with special effects, actual big scenes and things like that, additional stuff that he wants to put. So what I'm trying to say is that, what if we're not actually going to be we're not waiting for a part 2 and 3. This is it. This is the entire arc that includes stories, that includes story elements, that includes everything that we're supposed to watch in essentially a 2 and 3. But because he's getting to be able to talk about a longer form narrative in the way of HBO Max, what's something that you couldn't do in theaters. Because if this was in the theatrical, then yes, he would have had split it up into multiple movies because this is such a long form narrative. So like Deborah said, it's just one movie. And if it's just one movie, it's a long movie. It's a ginormous script that includes dark side, anti-life, time travel, Is that possible? And that maybe the things that are missing from this is literally just the nightmare. Maybe the nightmare scenes are the hard, scary idea. I don't know. But it's bothering me because I want to know why he said that he shot almost all his bullets. And that the mindset at that time was that he wouldn't be making a sequel. So if I'm not going to make a sequel, and I don't think Warner Brothers is going to let me make a sequel, I might as well shoot everything that I can shoot to close this whole thing. Does make you wonder. So I don't know. Let's have a conversation. Let's discuss it. Just comment down below and let me know what you think about that. Do you think Zack Snyder probably shot the entire story or most of it, minus the hard, scary idea, but that will be that additional photography that he's trying to do now? Or do you think this is really just JO1, Chris? And we're not going to see, we're going to see a part 2 and 3. They're going to have to bring everybody back together. Let me know. It's a good conversation in any case until we actually get to see it. All right, guys. Well, if you enjoy these kind of daily DC movie news updates, DC shows, and DC games, even thoughtful pieces like this today, please click the like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, keep this hot dog light on, and I'll see you next time. Bye.